Um, hole drilled in, it rides on this here, thing for the bottom. And I can put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 24 gouges in this, or 24 tools in this, plus another 6 around the outside in addition to that. So 24, about 30 tools in it. This sits on the floor. I have a lathe in I have a fifth wheel camper. The back, instead of hauling a motorcycle or a four-wheeler, I have a Scout robust lathe in the back of it.
I just like to have one of those in my shop.
This is what I do when I travel. It's the same thing. Sits on a table versus on the stand. It also fits in a 5-gallon bucket. You can leave your tools in and carry it that way. This drops in a 5-gallon bucket and you carry it that way. So. Anyhow, it's just a neat thing. Anybody want afterwards to take pictures of it to reproduce or whatever, it's great. It's a great holder for tools. The other thing, although this is not part of the demo, I wanted to show you a couple tools that you normally do not see. These are Russian.
Put them under the headstock camera.
I'm going to pass them around.
Oh, okay.
I'll put it on. Okay. This is their definition of a skew, very pointed. It does great for making cuts into the wood because it's so pointed in there. It has a nice clean cut. If you see in the ones that are making those dolls, those Russian dolls that stack inside of each other, they use this. And this is the hollowing tool they use. Similar to ours, but it will cut in the reverse side too. It'll cut on both sides. So they'll cut the reverse side on it, so it's cutting backwards. We normally hollow this way on it. They'll hollow from this side. If I was hollowing this, normally I would hollow it this way, the way we handle hollowing, and it'll do that. But they hollow it with it coming up against the wood. Is the way they're hollowing it. So they're doing it backwards. But I'm going to pass these two tools around because you normally don't see them. And I'll set the other one here. So I had a friend out of the UK that actually purchased them and ordered them. I think they were made in the, not Ukraine, but over in that part of the country. May have been Romania. And the blacksmith over there that makes them sells them to the Russians.
I think there's 2 or 3 places that you can buy them online, but they're all made in Russia.
Yeah, and these are made in Russia. I'm getting them from a guy over in England is where I bought them from. So, but it's a tool you don't normally see. It's a little trickier to use, but I thought I'd bring them and let you put your hands on it and see what they actually are, because it's not something we normally have. Now, what I'm going to do today we're going to use a 40-40 grind on a bowl gouge. Now what this does, a couple things. The 40-degree cut, from what I'm seeing, and you start looking at the angle that you put on the tool, the sharper that angle is on that tool, the cleaner cut you're going to get. That skew type tool that you have in your hand from Russia, it has a very, very clean cut on it. But it's so fine edge, it's not going to hold up real long. It doesn't hold up real long. If you look at a scalpel, it's real pointed. Put that on a piece of wood, it'd fall apart instantly. The next thing, you got a cold chisel. It's about 90 degrees. It's going to give you a terrible cut. So what's the optimum cut? Carving knives are usually set somewhere between 18 and 22 degrees, depending on whether you're carving softwood or hardwood. 40 degrees appears to be about, between 35 and 40 degrees appears to be about right for what we're doing on turning. That wood, that blade sees a mile of wood in just a couple minutes on something like this because of how fast it's turning. Skews are all sharpened at about 40 degrees, somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees. Roughing gouge, I bought a Carter roughing gouge. It came to me sharpened at 35 degrees. So that seems to be about the ideal side for being able to cut the wood cleanly and not tear it out and still hold an edge with what the tools we have today. The most gouges, a lot of people, who uses a 40-degree grind for bowls? Anybody in here? Okay, anybody, what, 55 degrees? Got something 55, 65 degree, 60, 65 degree? Are there any bowl turners in here? Yeah, most of them I'm seeing, when I did a survey before, just a survey of a group that we're doing, most of them are running 55 to 60 degrees, something in that range. So that angle is blunter and it's not going to cut the wood as cleanly as you do with the sharper angle. The other thing this does, the very, very tip of this tool, cuts just like a skew does. So when you're cutting, that acts just like a skew as it's cutting that wood. The wing of the tool peels it. And the magical part that it's doing with this grind is that the skew point, the skew tip, cuts before the wing cuts, slightly before the wing. So whether I make a shallow cut or a deep cut, I'm still cutting a skew type cut at the beginning and then I peel afterwards. So it reduces the tear out and you get clean cuts. You're not going to sand as much. There's a turner up in Wiggins. I can't remember the guy's name. He has a shop up there. I want to say Scott is his name up there. He turned a lot of bowls and stuff. Last year I brought him out. I was at camping at Paul B. Johnson and showed him the 40-40 grind. And he did, and he said, "Oh shit, you mean I don't have to sand as much?" So he's adopting that grind on doing it. It reduces the amount of sanding that you're having to do with the bowl. And it's not that hard to sharpen. It's hand sharpened. It does not use the jig. Now the only thing that jig does, and I don't see it right offhand, the only thing that jig does is hold your tool at an angle. That's all it does. How much you sharpen it to the side and everything else, you control that. Whether you grind in on your point too much, you control that. So it doesn't make any difference whether you're using that jig. That platform controls the angle, just like that jig does. So it's just as easy to use as the jig. You got to get used to it. It's quick and easy to sharpen with it. I'm doing it. Now, my preference is tools without handles because I can get to the grinder. It's a whole lot easier. I've adopted this method of doing it with the gouges because I can put this handle on here, or if I need to get out there longer and actually have a longer one at home, I can put a longer handle on it. And they're all interchangeable. Everyone's interchangeable. And why would you want something like this? For every inch that you overhang off your tool rest, you should have 6 inches of handle back off of it. So I got a 6-inch overhang. I need 36 inches of handle. And I have it if I need it. I'm doing it. If I have an overhang that I'm cutting down, cutting deep inside the bottom of a bowl. It allows me to jump around on doing it. But also, it's not in my way as I'm trying to, I can't even get to it, swing it around and sharpen something. So that's what I personally have adapted over the years on doing it. Any questions?
Who makes that?
Stuart Batty is the one who made it. It's his design. We're turning an emporium, which I'm not sure they're still in business. I think they're shutting down. They're retired. That's where I bought it from on doing it. But even if you just put it into a screw-in handle, it's the same thing. There are other handles. There's lots of other handles that you can put set screws on it and just use the tools, just use the tools loosely. You can do the same thing with that. You can put this in there and tighten down with a set screw and do the same thing with it.
Jimmy Clues makes a quick release system.
It doesn't have to be the quick release. Personally, I like the tools unhandled for that reason of being able to, this is a whole lot easier to sharpen than something with a long handle on it. Now, when I go to, this is short enough I don't have a problem with on this. This is a little skew on it. But, so let's go ahead and sharpen. Well, one other advantage on this tool that's different from any other on the other one. This is I got a standard gouge on here. Thought I had it right here. Okay, this is a bowl gouge sharpened at 55 degrees. Now, if you can bring it to there, I'm on the bevel here. Now, I'm staying on the bevel, and look what my backhand is doing all the time. I'm staying on that bevel. Look what my hand's having to do to maintain that cut. And I'm staying, it's sharpened at 55 degrees. This is a standard 55 degree ground, sharpened on the Wolverine jig. Look what happens to my hand on this at 40 degrees. I don't change anything. I want it, and when I swing it up and I'm cutting this way with it almost vertical, I get a cleaner cut. So if you get into wood that's real punky, that'll cut. But I normally cut it about 45 degrees across. I can normally get a real good cut on that. But that's another advantage of that tool, is just being able to rotate that. I want to slow the cut down or peel more wood off. Where maintaining the angle on it, I'm having to swing, I've got to swing the tool a lot to be able to maintain that. And let's go ahead and sharpen one. Let's see. Yeah. We'll sharpen one from scratch this time to show you how to get started with it, then other thing. The first thing I need to do, I think I have a picture of that. Okay. This is the actual grind. I have a 40 degree angle here and a 40 degree angle here at the bottom. On a either elliptical or straight gouge. It does not work on a U-shaped gouge. A U-shaped gouge being shape, and this is going to be okay. This is a straight grind that comes in. Those sides are straight coming in on it. That's a U shape coming in and on a U-shaped gouge, and this one here is an elliptical shape. There's a few companies that make this. It will not. The grind will not work on that U-shaped gouge. So the first thing I'm going to do is get that 40 degree angle. I'll wait to switch it. Okay, I'm going to get a 40 degree angle here on this top. So, okay, now I got a 40 degree angle, and you see this, the bright shine there on the side of it. Well, there are three sections of sharpening this. One side, the other side, and then blending the tips. This is a parabolic shape. And I'm grinding to just remove that shiny part, that flat part on it. Okay, I got it off that side. I forgot to mention something to you just for your information. I have a 40-degree mark. I have a 40-degree angle marked here on this platform. So that gives me the angle that I'm coming over with my tool. I'm not coming up here, I'm at 40 degrees. This platform is also set at 40 degrees. I've used a jig in here to measure that angle and set the platform at 40 degrees. And that sets this angle to 40 degrees. I have another one that I use more often. It's this one here. And basically I set a platform and then ground it to this. This is tool steel, hardened steel. So it allows me to come in here and measure that at 40 degrees. At home, I have one side set at 40 degrees, the other side is set at 20 degrees, and I never change it. I leave it the same all the time. It stays that way. So when I go back to it with the tool, I don't have to worry about the angle. And when I'm sharpening something, grab a gouge. When I'm sharpening something, all I wind up doing is, and I'm off the sharpener. I start at 40 degrees, I blend it as I went across, and it's all set to that, and I'm good to go with that, to continue on with it. So it's quick and easy once you get it initially sharpened and going with it. That's not the one I had. It's the one I was using.
Trey,
Yes.
might be a dumb question.
No.
Whenever you're doing the wings, or 40 degrees on the wing, how do you try to orient the gouge? I mean, do you have the
How much is
gouge straight up, or
how far? I rotate it over, and that's not a dumb question. I rotate it so the flute of it is horizontal.
the flute is horizontal? Okay.
See where this part is horizontal right here, that I'm holding against it. Not like this, not like that, but that's horizontal is where I'm cutting at. And that's the angle that I'm cutting on. I'm on 40 degrees here, and that flute is flat there. If it's a parabolic shape, which this one is, I wind up having to take this and drop it down a little bit to get all the way around. I've got the shine out of most of this side here. And I'm regrinding this for your benefit on doing it, because normally I don't do that. That takes away more steel than we need to. I've got this side, now I'm going to get this other side. Okay. A little bit more on the side. "40 degrees, that's horizontal and flat, and then blend it in. One little shiny spot. Okay, I got one little shiny spot left right here. I'm gonna leave it because I'm gonna pass this gouge around, and y'all can see that. You see a little spot on the left-hand side that's not totally down on.
So the shiny spot you're talking about is where you ground it flat?
It's where I ground it flat. It's hard to see, but if you get the light just right, you can see that spot. It is not sharp at that spot. And I'm leaving it there so you can look at it and say that's what you need to get out of it. But this is ground at a 40-40 grind. The bottom part, I cut the heel off. That allows you to get around the bowl better. You grind the heel back off of it. You only need 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch of bevel rubbing on that.
What was the angle that you drew platform? Is that
40 degrees.
That's 42.
That's 40 degrees. That's the side angle that I have coming this way on it.
40 degrees from the center?
Yeah, this is a 40 degree from the, it's 40 degrees from the center out.
Okay.
Yes.
Works all the same on the 3/8 or 5/8 or?
Doesn't make any difference. It's all exactly the same. Stuart Batty's the one that popularized this, and that's the one he demonstrates it all the time and shows it. And when he started doing it, his dad, he learned from his dad. Remember, his dad was a professional wood turner, and that's who he learned from. And his dad used one gouge on a bowl. But using that is almost like this tool that they make that's a spoon and a fork combination. It's a lousy fork and a lousy spoon, but it's still a spoon and a fork combination, and you can eat with it, and you don't have to have two tools to do it with. Well, this is going along the line that this is the better shape of doing most of your cuts on it. When you get to the bottom of the bowl, it will not work if the height of the bowl is too high, and you have to go to a bottom bowl gouge, and I'll show you that too. A bottom bowl gouge. So go back up under here. It's ground almost straight across on it. It's an easy grind to do. I'm gonna mess you up and point you back to this grinder. Maybe I can swing it for you. Just
Close.
too close.
That's it. I'll have to
Okay.
zoom out.
Okay. Will it focus at that distance? Okay. When I'm doing this grind, I don't even change my platform for it. I just stick my finger up underneath it because this grind is nothing more than that. The angle of it, it's whatever you need. So if you've got a really deep bowl versus the width of it, you'll have a steeper angle on it. But this grind is simply a little bird mouth on there. Cutting on and off, or the grind is simply just that. Put your finger up underneath it and rotate it for whatever angle you need on the bottom. How about shape? Yeah. And we'll put this, I guess, right here. Will it focus there, or is it too close? It won't take it?
Hold it up a little bit.
We'll just do it this way. We'll just do it this way. On a normal gouge, when you're coming in on a shallow bowl, you don't have any problem following the angle going all the way down on it. If I have a deeper bowl coming in here, I'm going to lose the cut right about here. I'm going to come off the bevel. This allows me to come in here, pick that cut up, and go all the way across the bottom of the bowl, is what it's doing. Even on a 55-degree grind, I'm probably okay on this bowl here, coming in at 55 degrees, coming in here and picking up the bottom of it. Steeper side, I'm stuck on it too. I'm gonna have to go to a bottom feeder. But I can make more, I can do more bowls with the 55, but it's still, it's a blunter tool, and it's not gonna give me as good a cut. And what I do is I use the two gouges for bowls, what I wound up doing. Any question on the grind? I'll be glad to help show anybody. Come up and look at it after the meeting. We'll go up and show actually doing stuff with it and showing the details and putting your hands on, seeing what it is. if you're interested. We'll be glad to do that.
What size is the wooden passing round? Is that like a 1/2 inch?
I don't know. Is that a 1/2 inch or 3/8, 5/8?
Like 5/8.
I'm not sure. That's one I haven't been using. Over the years, I've collected a bunch of bowl gouges and stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go through, and we'll just hold this up this way. I'm gonna go through Stuart Batty's 7 steps on turning. This is all wood turning, and we'll just go ahead and go through the different steps. Grain, if you're on end grain, you gotta slice the wood. Side grain, you peel it on the cut. There's a couple things that, and all of this is important as you go through it. You chuck, when you chuck the piece, the chuck needs to be accurate. In other words, if you have dovetails on your jaws, cut dovetails that you're doing on your piece that you're holding. Make sure that your piece is faced all the way around it when you're doing it. Don't have a gap on one side and a gap off on another side. Make sure it is secure. If you're going to an expansion chuck, make sure you have enough wood on the outside that you're not going to split the wood off if you chuck it from inside and expanding on it. Next one is sharp edge. We already talked about a 40-degree angle and the shape of the edge. Tool rest, you got height, distance, and angle. On the 40-40 grind, grinds I'm doing today, everything I'm doing today, my tool will be horizontal. The handle's not down or up, but I'll be horizontal on the tool. Distance, keep it as close as you reasonably can. The longer you go over the tool rest, the more vibration you're going to get. We talked about six times the distance off of it. So keep it relatively close. It reduces your vibration. And angle, well, it's the tool rest straight across or turned at the angle. However you position it on what you're doing. Lathe speed, your max speed is 40 miles per hour on this outside surface. On bowls, I keep it turned down. It's safer. If this comes off the lathe, I want it to run across the floor and not fly in the air. So I keep the speed down on bowls. On finials, I do a lot of finials. I keep the speed up high. You get a cleaner cut the higher speeds. If something is not balanced, keep the speed way down on it until you can balance it out. Speed is what kills you on a lathe. Keep that speed down, keep it safe. It's safe speed for what you feel comfortable with. Foot positions. There's 3 positions. Your feet are parallel, one foot's back, or the other foot. On a parallel, when your foot is parallel, I'll grab a gouge because we'll start doing this. Okay. If I'm cutting straight across, my feet are parallel when I'm cutting straight across this way. If I'm cutting in, my left foot is forward. If I'm cutting and swinging this way, my left foot is back, my right foot is forward. Make sure at the end of the cut you're comfortable, that you don't have to move your feet in the middle of a cut. So if you're coming in and you're going to finish a cut over here, make sure that you're not going to run into your body. Your body's not going to be in the way, because once you shuffle your feet, you will see where you shuffled your feet in the wood. It will show up. And the final thing is technique, and that's tool control. You ride the bevel, point the tool in the direction you're going to make the cut. So when I'm making the cut with this, that's the direction the tool is cutting. I'm doing it. So let's go ahead and start this. The first thing I'm going to do, this is the inside of my bowl. This is a little different now. There's no one way of turning anything. You know, I got 10 people in the room, and I got 20 ways of doing it. And all of them are right, if they're safe. If they're safely done, they're all right. So there's no, do it your way, but be safe about doing it. So there's no fixed way of doing it. So what I'm saying is not the Bible or gospel. If you get there where you're going, great. But and the main thing I'm trying to show you today is the technique of doing it using this grind. I'm going to do one thing different. This is the inside of the bowl. The first thing I'm going to do, and I'm just going to use a pull cut on this, I am going to face this off and make it so I can expand the chuck into the bottom of it. Then I'll turn it around so we can secure it better. So it'll be in the chuck. I'm not going to clean the width off or anything until we turn it around for safety reasons. Make sure that everything is nice and tight. Make sure your headstock and tailstock are not sliding because I'm strictly between centers. We had to tighten these down this morning. I do one thing at home, and I don't have it here. Well, this would have probably done it too. No, I don't want to mess my tool up. I have just a aluminum bar that's drilled out that I use for things. They will fit on this type of thing here to push it down and tighten it up as a cheater. I use it especially, I got a little small 10-inch one-way that I use all the time. I put the cheater on there so I don't have to put all my effort into it every time I use it. So let's go. Face shield. Hair out of the way. I'm looking at least one person in the audience, hair out of the way. Your hair gets tangled in here. The first thing it's going to do is grab your head and throw it into the lathe. So keep your hair back. And let's get this faced off a little bit. Speed turned all the way down when you're starting it. And since I'm out of balance, I am just going to right now just... This wood is very wet, by the way. I'm not even sure what kind it is. We'll be able to kick the speed up later when we get this balanced so this lathe doesn't run across the floor. I probably should have brought a smaller blank for this size lathe, but...
Would you like the light on? Does that help you?
Does that help you? The camera's okay with the light? Is the camera okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I need about 5 inches. Okay. I need about 5.5 inches. Okay.
Is that in your way?
No, I'm okay.
Is that better?
Okay. On this chuck, I need to go at least about 5.5 inches to expand into it.
How's that?
That's good. Only what you
Another big count.
I'm gonna pass this around later too, so you can see this when I get through with it. It's simply a 3/8 steel rod, a piece of tool steel for a metal lathe, and I've ground it at an edge that allows me to get back in there and establish my dovetail. So, where's my okay, let me just. So how easy it was to just grab another tool and slip it in there. And I'm just trying to get a surface for that chuck to ride on. Well, sure, that's not the tool I need. Let's see if that chuck will fit.
Guys, don't hesitate to ask questions. John.
Need a few bar in it.
Yeah, I need to.
You want a hand lifting
Yeah, if you can just. Well, let me make sure this fits first.
it? Okay. Yeah.
Kind of wooden there.
I was told it was gum, but I am not sure.
Go.
Does it look like a gum? You go along with gum?
Sounds good.
I was
Does
told.
look like it.
That's what I was told it was. Had a real heavy bark. Yeah, this. What? It's green. It's wet. I will probably get that thing soaking wet.
Yeah, it looks like it's already thrown.
It's already throwing it and it just started?
Yeah, thanks for requesting that.
You always want the windshield wiper? I got that loose so you can slide it out of the
Okay.
way.
And your knockout bar.
Right here.
Oh, okay. By the way, this thing is sized. You can go ahead and put your other accessories onto it too, either there or fit back inside. And that one's mine, so I'll get my knuckle punch, my elbow punch out of the way.
None of us have ever done that.
Got it out of the way or used it?
Use it as an elbow punch.
Let me turn it on there for you.
If you would.
No, not quite lined up. There we go.
Okay, you got it. I'm gonna go ahead and lock this down. Sorry. I forgot, I am sorry. We will put that back in here. Right now, this is for security reasons. Because I want to take the outside of the bowl and round it off.
You ever use any carbide tools?
I use them for hollowing. I use the hunter cutter for hollowing. I don't have any other carbide tools in my shop. I just don't have them. There's probably a couple applications I could use them for, but I don't. I do use a scraper though. I use a negative rake scraper all the time. And I'll pass one of those around just to. This is a scraper I use. The inside of it, I don't have an Allen wrench to undo it all the way. I'll do it. The center, the outside steel is just mild steel on this, where the center is a V15, I think it's V15, which is a very resistant steel. Those set screws can be loosened up and the cutter slid further out. And I can also pull it out, turn it around, and use the other side of it. So I get to use all the metal in that.
Did you make that?
No, I did not. That's with another Stewart.
By the way, that angle gauge you used to set the table for the grinder is made by Stewart Batty.
Yes, it is. But that other small one that I had, once you got the angle, this works just as well, or even better, because I've got a bigger area that I'm matching up to it on. And we'll pass these two around. There's a whole bunch of different sizes and shapes on that.
Do you normally use a recess for your chuck?
No, I don't. This is the only time I use the recesses coming in from this side. I'm doing this. I have a lot of meat right here, so it's going to hold well. This is going to be the inside of the bowl, so it doesn't make any difference. But I have a lot of meat there already, so I'm in good shape with that. On doing it, I usually use compression. I found when I was doing that on the bottom of a bowl, I cut through the bottom of the bowls. I lost my perspective of where the bottom really was, and I was cutting through.
Nobody's ever done that.
Okay. So what we're going to do now, feet parallel, I don't take the tool straight in. I'm going to cut from the side on doing it. Stand to the side when you start it. I'll turn this. Oh, no, I won't, because it's going to rock. Okay, now, face shield down, and I'm coming in cutting sideways. Tool's horizontal. I'm pointing in the direction I'm moving. And you see it's beating me to death, right? You see how bad it's beating me to death on this. I'm cutting once per revolution. And if you look, I'm not really, my left hand is doing nothing but putting pressure down. My right hand's just pushing and feeding it in. And I'm taking a pretty decent cut. If you look at the size cut on that, it's a pretty decent size cut that I'm taking off of it.
I was curious, is there any difference as to how aggressive a cut you can take with that grind versus a 55 or 60?
No, exactly the same. It does, since I'm cutting, since when I'm making, I'm almost round there. And I was a good ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch off to start with. The difference is that the tip of it, when it's cutting, it cuts in there and it doesn't tear out. If I take a ½ inch cut or a 1/16 of an inch cut, the tear out doesn't change with that. Okay, one little bit more right there and then we'll have it. I can probably turn it up because I'm actually pretty close to round. Okay, now the blank is round, almost all the way around, a little bit right here. I'm going to come in from the side a little bit. I'm going to do not the regular cut, but I'm going to come in from the side a little bit because I'm going to leave the tailstock attached as long as I can for safety reasons. So I'll do a little bit of side cut on it. I can't really get in the way and do a push cut like I'd like to do. But I'm just going to remove some of the bulk off this corner just to, it's heavy. It's a heavy block. Shield down. The wood's wet. Very wet. Yeah. I'll mention what I'm wearing for turning. This is a set of medical scrubs. It is my preference on turning because t-shirts and everything else, other than the wet soak part, everything just falls off of it. It just knocks off and falls off. They're relatively inexpensive. I found them for $1 a piece sometimes at flea markets even. I've gone to a more expensive one. I like the one with the side pockets on it, but it's a little pricier. I think I paid $6 a piece for them or something, mail order. But everything falls off of them. They're inexpensive. They get dirty, so what? You know, and that's what I use anytime I'm out messing around in the shop and everything. So, okay, I'm gonna remove the tailstock now. I actually think I'm gonna swing it out of the way. Oh, it screws? Okay. It doesn't pull out.
By the way, Herman donated that swing away to the club.
Okay, should be
Yeah.
loose.
How does it turn? Oh,
Look at that, isn't that slick?
oh that is slick. Get it out of the way.
Well, yeah, look at that car, man. You can win nobody to pick up one hand and move.
Okay.
I can do my power head with one hand after I throw my back out.
I remove my one way with one hand. Of course, it's a 10-inch.
We used to have a one way.
What?
We used to have a one way.
Okay.
Nobody liked to turn it.
I think that was about $20 or $25. Herman just ordered.
I think I'm 4.5. Okay, somewhere in that range is my jaw set.
Different ones, by the way.
Let's see what I have. That's more. Let's see. It was pretty aggressive and dulls pretty quick. Let me put an edge back on this. Well, at least your camera's not looking through that. Except for this, I actually think I can wring this water out of here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to start making some cuts here. It's a deeper bowl than I thought I was going to wind up with, but we'll... Okay, I'm going to end up here, so I'm going to... It's a push cut, horizontal, it's the direction I'm moving. And that wood is extremely wet. I want to get wet wood, but I didn't know I soaked it. Oh, that's pretty, that was pretty in there. Okay. Now I want to make one final, and that was extremely abrasive wood too. Okay, I'm going to try to make, I'm going to go with a single cut. I want to finish the cut over here, start the cut over here. So I can make it over here on this side, and I can get it started from over here. Tool rest is about a 45-degree angle, right foot forward, and I'll try to keep this as one single cut if I can. And not get soaked. Come in and get the cut started. Slipped out of the cut. A little heavy. Let me clean up that shape a little bit. What I'm doing wrong is I'm pushing on my left hand. Left hand should do nothing but hold the tool down. If I take and put pressure on that tool, well, if I push in on that tool, it's going to start bouncing. I want to put nothing but downward pressure on with the left hand, and then the tool is going to cut cleanly. Left hand only puts pressure down on it, which I can't see through my face shield anymore. But do they have windshield wipers for face shields? Okay. I need to. I think that will probably grab right there. So. probably bad on that. And I'm gonna go back here to this tool here and do a final cut on that one. And I'll pass this around. One side sharpen one way, the other sharpen the other way. So one's for the inside, the other's for the outside, and allows you to get those tenets. They're already set at the angle that I'm gonna grab it at. But if you realize on the outside of the bowl, there wasn't that many cuts on the outside. It goes, you don't get to practice that cut very often. And I took a couple of classes from Stewart in Vegas. Took one year, and then wife went to SWAT with me, and she said, yeah, she'll take a class with me. She'll take a class, and I couldn't let her go by herself. So I went a second time. I was already camping out in Tucson area, so there's a big gym show out there in February every year, largest one in the world out there, and I went to that, and taking the class in Vegas was no big deal because that was halfway on the way home. I just jumped up there and spent a week up there, and one time at a KOA campground, the other time on base. Okay, we got it curved in, so and this wood is very abrasive. I didn't realize how abrasive gum was.
Get sweet gum next time.
Instead of black gum? Well, this was the right price.
Oh, yeah. Always is.
Let's see if that other one, I don't need that one anymore. I'll go ahead and have a couple of them. Let me put that on another tool handle. Will that fit that one? No, but it'll fit. I don't need that big. Okay. I'll just go with what I got sharpened.
Hey, Trav,
Yes.
what brick wheel do you normally use to sharpen? To resharpen off this face?
My preference would be something like a 600. But I have, somewhere around 300-400 would be good. If you get too fine a wheel, you get to the point that you have problems making it cut. You get too coarse a wheel, it eats too much of your steel away. I think both of them still cut pretty well, but it eats some of your steel away. Okay, I'm coming in, I'm cutting on center. And this cut, the objective of this cut is I'm pretty much going straight in on it. I want to get an opening in here for me to be able to to do the other cuts on it. I get to stand on the side this time instead of in the middle, instead of being fired at. About a 45-degree angle, I'm just going straight in. Okay, once I got down to the center, I want to start following the outside of the bowl. I'm coming in, starting vertically. Simply making a swing. And you can see I'm taking fairly hefty shavings, cuts off of it. Get cut started. See if I can level this off a little. That's probably about a good thickness to go with. Okay. And that outside rim is pretty close. Oh. Stop is, and we'll continue the process. Got that. Not cutting very well anymore. I am not. Okay. I probably should have a little bit longer handle. Let me jump to the next size. And on the final cut there, I'm gonna run a sharp gouge on it. Thickness gauge, yep, okay, fairly consistent. I'll swing this in a little bit and repeat the process. I always had problems with that part. I don't know if I'm cutting high or low. You thought what? You have a bag of shavings, won't you? Okay, final cut. Now when I'm making the final cut, I don't start right at that cut. I'll start back from the cut. I'll be off the bevel a little bit and we'll take it until I just start taking a fine cut so I get a transition between the two cuts to keep it a smooth cut. Okay, pick the cut up and follow the contour. Check for thickness. I am a little bit thick at the bottom part of that cut, so we'll okay. I'm back in the center again. Depth. Still good. I could probably cut the outside edge. Right, it's going to try to move pretty fast on me because it's drying. It's
Right.
so much water I've removed, but I'm stepping it down. I still have bulk in it, and all my cuts are against the bulk. If you notice, I've cut down to the center V, and all my cuts are cut against the stuff holding against the bottom of the bulk.
How thick you supposed to have on the back is what your goal is to keep it strong.
This
To leave for you to keep.
you just work it on down from the top down. You could take this down to 1/8 of an inch if you wanted to walk it down that way.
So the bottom of the bowl end up the same thickness as the rim.
You try to.
Clamp on the back, so we trying to keep 3/4 inch on the bottom until you cut the clamp up, or we trying to accomplish?
Well,
On the back.
I'll jam chuck it before I do the bottom, and we'll do the bottom afterwards, and we'll bring it down to whatever thickness. Since the jaws are holding it, I don't know whether I want to make the size of that tenon force me to do what force me to the size. I want to select the size myself. I don't want the chuck to tell me what size the bottom is going to be.
The inside thickness, once he finishes turning the bowl, will be the thickness it's gonna be, which is the same as the rim, all the way down. Then he turns off the foot, which is the tenon, and decides how he wants to do that.
Decide how wide do I want the bottom of the bowl.
Finishing the inside first.
I'm finishing the inside first, and then we'll come back and do the bottom part of the outside. And I'm gonna jam chuck it to do that.
Your final, if you were drying this bowl and everything, your final thickness, do you want the bottom to be the same thickness as the rim? Or
Roughly the same thickness, yes.
you don't try to leave a little more weight in the bottom?
If I have something that's tall and thin, I may leave a little more weight in the bottom just for stability, to keep it from turning over. I'm thinking this bowl, this is about the right thickness for this bowl. You make it too thin, it becomes, doesn't become very effective. And I've got a nice clean cut on the inside, and I have, how much more do I have to go? I've got plenty. Thickness gauge, okay, I still got plenty more to go on down there. And when I take this and pass this around, you'll notice it's not tear out, there won't be tear out on the bowl. But the wood is abrasive. Is sweet gum as abrasive as black gum? It's not? Okay. Well, I was looking for some wet wood for the demo. I found wetter wood than I thought, but a guy that was right past half mile from my house, the route I drive all the time, he cut a tree down in his front yard. So, that's where the wood came from, his front yard. So. And I was looking for a light color wood because I want to do for some ornaments. I wanted to do a different style ornament. I want to do some mushrooms that I hang. So I wanted a light color wood for that too. So that'll be perfect for that.
Yeah, I'm doing some ski trees out sweet gum right now, it turned for a while.
Okay. This may be the first black gum I've ever turned, so. No, that's just keeping it down. And once you get into the inside, I have those little steps in there. It gives me a spot my tool starts and doesn't skip across, so it makes it easy to pick it back up once you're back inside of it.
I had a couple guys ask why you were turning it so thin. They thought because it was green, you could turn it thicker. Can you explain?
I'm not going to return this. I'm not a big fan of turning and returning it to make it perfectly round. I just let it change shape. If you hollow the bottom out a little bit, recess into the bottom of it, do a little concave on the bottom, you can sand the bottom back off after it changes shape and the bowl won't rock. So I just let it change shape. I'm looking to get an elliptical attachment for my Rose engine lathe. Hell, I got it here.
So if you turn it consistent thickness all the way around, it should warp but not crack.
It should work and not crack if I keep it reasonably thin.
And that's kind of the secret of keeping them from cracking, is get consistent thickness all the way around.
Now, what happens on a piece of wood, and we'll talk about a good subject, this one's already cracking on me, so that's a good subject, good one. Can you, let's see, what's the best place to put this? Is that the best camera view? Okay. I'm trying to get this in play.
As far as I can get that camera over, like going on and moving it, otherwise we have to do this.
Zoom out.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
fifth.
Okay, I got a pith right here on it. This piece of wood, I'll get my pencil and I'll get back to that same spot. Wood dries in 3 different directions. It dries based on, and each one of those numbers is not the same. The amount of wood, the consistency that it dries at. So, it's going to dry lengthwise. It doesn't change much that way. That's the pith. Wood is going to dry that way and shrink, and it's going to dry radially and shrink in that direction. Well, it just so happens that radial shrinkage is actually greater than that shrinkage. And when that happens, something is going to give. And that's what gives. You start getting a check mark in there. Because this is separating and that's shrinking more that way than it is this way. And when that happens, it will start checking because the wood's going to split. If you split a log in half across this pith, I've actually had some logs that look like this after I got through with it, after it dried. It changed significantly on doing that. It'll be almost at that angle if you leave it in a log form. But if I make this thin enough, the wood will give and change shape enough that you won't have that problem. And when I talked about it, what's going to happen when it changes shape, that's the direction of the grain. We said that doesn't change very much. That length does not change very much. This is pretty consistent. So if I take a wet 2x4 and put it on a building, the length of it's going to stay the same, but it's going to shrink from the end from the side. So that distance there, when it dries, will remain about the same whether it wet or dried. That does not, because that's coming in from the side. it's shrinking and pulling itself in. So what will happen, this bowl, that'll remain the same, but this side's going to pull in on it and make the bowl an oval shape. And I don't mind an oval shaped bowl. It doesn't bother me. I just turn it all the way green.
What do you do slowly on the drying after finishing?
You could take this, and probably the best thing to do with it, as wet as it is take it and throw it in the bag of these shavings with, as a paper bag full of shavings. Moisture will wick out of the paper bag, and that'll slow it down a little bit. I've heard lots of different things. I haven't done a lot of them. Some people soak it in alcohol and let it dry because the alcohol absorbs the moisture. Alcohol likes water, and it'll soak the water up onto it. And the other thing, people accelerate the drying. You know, put it in microwaves, put it in silicone gel, and that kind of stuff. I usually don't want to just throw it on the shelf, to be honest. I haven't tried.
You don't paint it with some sort of green wood dryer or latex?
I do not, no. If I'm going to leave it and finish it this way. If I'm going to pre-turn the bowl and come back later and finish turning it to make it round, yes, I will seal the ends on it to slow the drying down. Because I'm starting something that is about an inch and a quarter thick, and it has more of a tendency of cracking. So I'm more concerned about the drying rate on that than I am this. Because once this is like this, I don't think it's going to crack. At that thickness all the way down in the bottom, I think it'll hold its shape and crack. Does gum crack badly? Gum doesn't crack, does it, very much?
No idea, that's never turned in.
Well, I know that hadn't moved much yet. I think the rim's still pretty round, so that
Yeah.
doesn't look like.
This is still damp
Yeah.
outside.
Sweet gum checks fairly quickly, but it's typically not repeat.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm going to go just a little bit more, but not a whole lot.
Are you still going on the bottom of the 40-40 grind? You haven't changed to
I have not changed grinds.
Pardon?
I have not changed my gouge. I'm still working the sides. I still have this cut here on the side I got to make on there.
About what RPM
A little less than 400. Okay. And I think that's about as far down as I can get with these. So I'm going to move to the bottom gouge. When I'm coming in here, I can't make this curve in here without coming off the bevel. So I'm on the bevel here, but this curve I cannot make on that. So we'll switch gouges. Okay, let's look at the shape and depth. Okay. Okay, I want to try to pick the side cut up and blend the two in there. So I'm coming all the way over here to pick that cut up. And swing, 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 swing. I have a knot in the bottom of the bowl. Where's that knot? It's right here. Yep. Let's see if let's cut through it.
I guess this is one of those woods you don't know what you got till you get inside.
Yep. Hidden jewel. And I'm going to go to a longer handle because I'm actually off the tool risk a fair amount. You can see where the longer handle made it a lot easier to make that cut because I have about this much overhang on it. And I'm going to leave the bottom right there. I don't know whether you can see it, but right in here, I have a really pretty grain pattern coming in. There's a really pretty pattern in there.
Rotate 180 degrees on it
You can see it? Okay, from here? I've got a pretty feather pattern in there next to that knot. So I'm gonna leave it there because I like the pattern. And we'll call the bottom finished. And the other thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna introduce you to negative rake scraping. And I'll go ahead and sharpen these tools up. I do that because I've got to change the angle on my grinder.
Here's yours.
Oh, okay.
What angle do you do your negative rake around?
I'm gonna set it at 20.
20 on both sides?
Yeah. And the reason why, I keep my grinder set at 20 at home.
Okay.
Okay? That's the reason why I leave it that, is because I don't want to, when you reset it, it's going to be off a fraction of a degree every time you reset it. And with that, I'd rather not fight that fraction of a degree. I just leave it there and go with it. I'm going to leave these sharp for the other side once I reset it. Okay. Let's accelerate this, slowing down. Okay, I'm gonna move this to around 20. Oh, I passed that around, didn't I? I think I'll go 22. I'll go 22 and a half on this one. I normally leave it at 20, but just because that's, I skew sharpened at 20, so when I put the skew on it and everything else, it's there. So, and my parting tools. Oh, I thought I had it in the handle. Got it here a second ago. My beading parting tool that I use. It's ground just like a skew. It's at 20 degrees. So to sharpen it, I would just go throw it up there and grind it. Well, that was 22 degrees. But let's go ahead and get this. Okay. I want the bead on the top. And beads do not last, a bead will not last very long on this doing it. Again, I'm going to cut center. This is any type of wood. It's just being used as a jam chuck. want to creep up on it, I don't want to. Where's it going on that? Of course, in the demo, it takes forever, doesn't it? First step on there. I'm trying to get it on, all the way onto it. I want to jam it in versus the... It's real close. Now this, the other thing, even if this thing started warping, this will hold it on straight. Maybe tighter than I really want it to be, but yeah, it's a little tighter than what I want it to be. if we can get it off. It'd probably go on there, but it's. Okay. Let's see what I have here. I got plenty of thickness in here. It's half arm. I think that'll go on. So, okay. Now, when it's tight, put it on and let it sit for a minute. Let the wood sort of work its way out, then go back and continue tightening it back up. That's tighter than it should be. Okay, seat it all the way around. I don't think it's going to come off. And we'll go back and finish the bottom. Did I put them up there? I did. Let's see what I want. Keep a narrow bottom or big bottom? Oh, the first thing, let's go ahead and take. Oh, that's wrong. It's fairly right. And if you're going to make this real thin, now's the time to thin it out. This is holding it round. You can thin that on out, real thin. It can go on and off, back on and off that chuck, and it will recenter back to what it was. A lot better than any other chuck. I'm gonna leave it at that. That'll sand out really, that'll sand out because it's not grooved in there. And now we'll see if we can get it off of here. Oh, yeah. Come on. A little heavier on the bottom, but it's still some beautiful pattern into that wood. Now, if I didn't like it, I can put it right back on here and it still centers. Because I've centered that rim perfectly and sitting up against that. So you can go back and forth. Stuart says he's turned stuff down to 1/8 inch, big tall vessels jammed on a chuck like this. This will recenter it each and every time. If you have a problem getting something off of it, and you use a skew to get it off with, cut down on this edge here, get close to the edge, and then take the skew into the wood on the jam chuck, not into that, get wood on the jam chuck, and sit there and jam it in like you would a chisel, and it will push this wood to push it out against the side. Make sure the direction you're pulling from is not going to be in the side that's going to cause the wood to crack out, though. There's two different sides. Make sure it's on the edge of the bowl, not the end grain of the bowl, but the edge of the bowl, so it won't split out as bad.
Side grain.
Side grain. The side grain won't split out, won't cause your bowl to crack out on it.
So was that a taper fit on there, or was that
Just straight, flat, all the way solid, flat against that surface. It's just straight jammed into it.
But the tenon on it, is it tapered, or I can't tell?
There's no taper on it. This is straight. There's no taper, it's just straight in.
Okay.
So with the same effect with a, what do you call it, cold jaws? You wouldn't get the same?
The cold jaws will not recenter it. This will center it perfectly when I put it back in. The cold jaws will not. It will be off several thousandths every time you put it back in. You pull it out of a cold jaw and put it back in the cold jaw and feel it, you're going to be off, you know, it will not be exactly registered back into undoing that. When I went back around and started cutting that outside, that bowl had re-registered perfectly back in there. I was not getting this motion on the bowl in this type of chuck. If you're having problems with it coming off, don't worry, use masking tape. The masking tape's not holding it to it, it's just keeping that initial creep from coming out on it. Holding it in is strictly jamming it into there. But I can put this back on there and it's still going to re-register back to be exactly the same. There's not tear out on there. There may be a little bit on the inside from where I did the scraping on it. But any ridges will sand out of a bowl very easily. Tear out does not sand out. So any bumps and ridges, that cuts out real easy. And I'll put a small orbital sander on that and finish it out. And I didn't realize I could get that pretty grain in there.
That's beautiful.
I got a beautiful grain structure onto that knot really, you know, it was a hidden jewel instead of a hidden headache. But it caused some rippling of that wood in there.
I saw Stuart do this with a jam chuck in Waco. He could not get it off. He had to cut his jam chuck in order to get the thing off.
Cut the jam chuck to get it off. And the other thing, when you're putting it on here, let it rest a little bit. You jam it in some, let it rest. Then jam it, and you can keep pushing it on and on. You can keep going, stepping down on there. If you try to put it in at one pass sometimes, you'll spread it and it'll crack the bowl. But you put it in there, let the fibers rest a little bit, then tap it some more.
Did
No, because that's going to change shape, and that's so wet, that's going to be smaller than this dry jam chuck. So it would definitely cause it to split.
You ever cut a mortise, say in a piece of plyboard, and set it down in the mortise with some weight on it to keep it in the round?
No. If it wants to change shape, I'll let it change shape. If you want it round, double turn it. Turn that bowl to about 1 inch thickness all the way around, and let it dry for 6 months. And then go back and do it the other way. I like it to change shape, personally.
You guys got any other questions?
You sell them in bowls?
As to you.
No, I do not. I sell ornaments.
Yeah, I knew you did.
I sell ornaments. I do not sell many bowls.
I've got a question. You're talking about your 3-foot long handle on
Yeah.
on your tool. Now Lord knows I don't know nothing. But they make these.
That's a lie. I'm looking at your gray hair. You know a hell of a lot.
It's all wrong. But they make these tool rests that go up inside the bowl. I mean, would that not keep you from having to have a 4-foot handle?
No, because when you first start into the bowl, what winds up happening on those tool rests, when it curves in and I'm trying to make this pass in here and I try to get to the bottom of the bowl, I start hitting the tool rest and coming off of that tool rest in the bottom. You wind up, take it and play with that J-shaped tool rest and try to bring a gouge all the way around to it, and you'll find at some point in time you're really coming off the tool rest at a real sharp angle. That was one of the questions. I asked that exact same question to Stuart in one of our classes, and when you really look at it, you start coming off the tool rest, and it doesn't stay on the tool rest. Now, I did put it in at about a 45-degree angle in the bowl. I turned it sideways to come in on the angle. That means the only place I have is deep here on doing it. And by the way, that's a 36-inch. I have a 42-inch at home. I just didn't bring it. Well, and when you get into the deeper bowls, think of how much, I'm dealing with a, possible 6-inch overhang and trying to get into some stuff. Very easily when you just get a deep bowl on it and stuff.
How much impact does the size of your gouge have on that overhang?
It has a significant impact. You've noticed I was using the bigger size gouges when I was doing that versus, I got a bigger one I could have used. The overhang makes a difference in the vibration on the gouge. I could not use, this little gouge wouldn't have worked very well in the inside. On the outside, when I was finishing off, it worked fine because the overhang was less than 1 inch. But getting into a 6-inch overhang on this gouge, even with the longer handle, it's going to start vibrating badly. And the other part you'll realize here, there's a lot of metal outside this center part of this gouge. Here it's not, but there's a lot of metal out here. So you get vibration in that area because of that. Any other comments, questions? Yes.
On a piece like that, do you let it dry out completely and then sand it out? And do you have a preferred finish?
I use a tongue, on a bowl, I will use Forby's tongue oil. It's not a true tongue oil, it's a polymer, varnish. But that's what I normally use. Forby's, or if I can't get the Forby's, I'll use the Minwax tongue oil. I usually use a tongue oil finish. Yeah, I haven't seen it in the Forby's. I have a little bit at home, but the Minwax still makes the tongue oil finish on it.
There's 2 formulas on what cut now. There's a low DOV.
I don't use the Chinese. I don't use the California type. I use the Mississippi type.
Use the beeswax or anything over the tongue oil?
Sometimes. Well, usually it's the Canova wax over it.
Okay.
It's usually the Canova wax to go back over with. If you're going to do the buff it out and then put the Canova wax over the top of it. It'll give a good finish.
Use 2 or 3 layers of tongue oil?
Yeah, 3 or 4. or so, whatever, I make sure I get a good coat on it.
I like that one.
Yeah.
And ornaments I spray, I lacquer everything on ornaments and stuff. Everything's sprayed on those.
Did you bring any of your ornaments today?
I didn't bring any ornaments. Probably should have, I didn't.
You have a page with your ornaments on it?
I do have some stuff on there. It's under, do I have any business cards with you? It's, my website is designsbytrace.com. I have some ornaments. It hasn't been updated with my newer ornaments on it. I'm not very good in keeping a website up to date. Just because my first cousin is a web designer doesn't make any difference.
Thank
Okay. Anybody want to see the sharpening? We've got. Anybody want to see the sharpening up close? Come on up here, and I'll be glad to show it to you. That's a
All right.
that's a key to it.
We'll do show and tell real quick, and then we can spend time with them. And if you guys got any questions or anything, any other questions? Well, excellent demonstration. I
Okay,
appreciate it.
good.
Thank you.
Hope you want. I thought you were looking for. You sound like you were looking for. Do y'all have a chuck here? It's in the drawer. Okay.